Welcome back. Now we're on part two. Why people buy. Why do you buy? Next point, maintenance. Buyers buy because there are certain products or services they just can't live without. Maintenance. It's a product that they need for maintenance. Again, you could be doing B2B, B2C, face-to-face, telesales, cold calling, corporate sales. It's your job as a salesperson to hit your quarter two targets, to hit your Q2 KPIs. And to do that, you want to understand this time why would your clients buy. Understanding what are the maintenance services that they need to fulfill their goal, their functionality as a business. So, understanding obviously what solutions, what services they can't live without is what would help you get into that sale. After all, that's why buyers buy. Next point, practicality. Let's face it, nowadays, or ever since, every single buyer would only buy for 5 reasons. Now it's down to 12 reasons based on my research, based on my experience in sales. And so another common reason why buyers buy is practicality, making sure that the purchase is based on practicality. And of course, when you say practicality, we're talking about product features. We're talking about individually different, because individually they differ. You want to also be able to customize, or they're looking for a product that is customized and designed for themselves, for their company. Again, if you're doing B2B, B2C, this is a very transferable sales training video, if you may, because this is something you could transfer in any field, in any way of selling. And so why do people buy? Practicality. It's your job to make sure that you're able to illustrate the practicality of your product. So you might be wondering, what is the message of this video, or this 3 parts video that I've just created for you, my fellow salespeople? Because I want you also to understand that as a salesperson or as a sales coach, when I sit down and I wonder, how can I improve my sales training? How can I evolve as a sales coach? It should be the same thoughts that you have as a salesperson, whereby you're not only asking, how do I make a sale? Well, go to YouTube, Google it up. There will be hundreds of videos that would say, this is how you sell. But why buyers buy, I thought, is a smart way to evolve for Q2, just in time for Q2. So identifying not only what to sell, how to sell, where to sell, when to sell, but it's really understanding why buyers buy. So identify the practicality. What is practical about your product? What would Mr. Smith think when it comes to your brand and say, I actually purchased her services or their company services because they're very practical to use? As a buyer, and you're probably a buyer too, isn't it that one of the key decision making, apart from the budget, apart from can I afford the product, is also the practicality? So really remember this keyword. I'll put it all on the description. I'll break down all this on the description, so you know exactly the keywords. Just write the keywords on a small post-it, put it next to your desk, so you are actually inspired to recreate your ways in terms of pitching about practicality, as opposed to not just selling about the product. Next one. This is a good one. I like this one. Next one is reliability. So there's practicality. That's one of the reasons why people buy. But another reason why people buy is because of reliability. Although it's fair to say that there is no such thing as a perfect package, but the challenge is reliability of your product or of your services. How do you how do you sell this? How do you really make use of this keyword in order for you to make your client buy from you? I would say reliability starts from the salesperson. Let's start with that. Second is the brand or the product. If you as a salesperson is not reliable to your client, you already basically dismiss the opportunity for the product that you're representing to sell how reliable it is. So it starts with the salesperson in terms of reliability. So really pay attention to yourself. Am I reliable enough to my client or to my prospect? And reliability as a salesperson, it's not only coming from how you present the package, how you sell the package. It's not even so much about that. I think, in my opinion, it's more about, okay, let's talk about the very beginning of your appointment, the very beginning of your meeting. Are you reliable? And of course, based on the pain points that you accumulated or you have actually identified from your Mr. Smith, you should already be able to show how reliable you are in terms of doing your job, in terms of doing your job presenting exactly what in your product will solve his problems. And believe me, in my time in sales, I've experienced salespeople who are either extremely brilliantly product knowledge, and I'm not talking about memorizing the whole product knowledge list. I'm talking about the ability of the salesperson to really go deep in terms of ways to maximize the product, ways to maximize the reliability of the product or the solution. So that's the next point. Number 9, accessibility. Accessibility, it starts again with or from the salesperson. Have you ever experienced calling your salesperson because there's some issues with the product, suddenly it's not working, or suddenly you are not able to enjoy the privileges that you have signed up for? Being able to access your salesperson, not just on the surface of calling him and he picks up the phone. It's also accessibility in terms of he or she is able to be of great assistance to you in the time that you desperately need help. So really, I think this is a very big one too, because as a client, as a buyer, I've experienced myself frustration from a salesperson who is unable to be accessible when I needed help and desperately needed assistance. This is why people buy. The salesperson, secondary the product. I've said this many times in my previous sales training videos. People buy because of you. People don't buy because of you. So let's start really understanding why people buy before we worry about how to sell, where to sell, and when to sell. Next point, transferability of the product. People buy. Why do people buy? People buy because the product is transferable. It can be transferred to their family members. Family members can also enjoy what he or she had paid for. Or let's say let's talk about B2B. Let's say you're selling a solution, a software that is transferable enough to other areas in the business that other products are unable to do so. So what you want to identify is not just the reasons or not just what they need, but also understanding what are the possible transferable features of my product that I can actually introduce to Mr. Smith in order for him to see the double value of what he's signing up for. So, transferability of the product. And of course, really invest on solid product knowledge. Solid product knowledge. When you are not basic with your product knowledge, you are able to go beyond lengths and you're able to really master selling, like you can beat your competitors. And your competitors are always going to be much better salesperson or less of what you are. So competition is within yourself. Compete with yourself and really find ways to improve and get better with your product knowledge. And not just what you can read, but what you can't read. Next one, guys, product familiarity. I want to talk about this last point before we go to the next video or the third part of this training session. When you say product familiarity, another reason why people buy from you is because of your product familiarity and your prospects' product familiarity. So what I'm trying to say here is as simple as when you're pitching, when you're making a presentation to a client, again, B2B or B2C. When you're making a presentation, think of it as if you're training your client to understand exactly what you're selling. When I was a sales trainer, I was managing and training huge sales teams. It was such my mission to make sure that when I do product knowledge to a trainee, to a new staff, I want to make sure that that person would really be able to train another salesperson based on his ability on product knowledge. So when you're able to articulate the product knowledge or the benefits to your client perfectly and clearly, I can promise you, your client will be so well versed with the product and the client would see the value of buying from you. Have you ever talked to a salesperson who's almost clueless and lack of understanding of what they're selling? So really fully understand how you can actually deliver a product knowledge to your client where your client can be a person relaying the whole product knowledge to another person. It comes down to one word, clarity. So why do people buy? Because it's clear to them what they're buying. They know what they're spending their money on to. And let's do the reverse. Why do people don't buy? Because they have no idea what this salesperson is trying to sell. If you like second part, see you on the third part. Just click this video and let's finish off this really great topic on why people buy. See you on the next one. Bye.